Hi, this is Natural Health for All Ages. I'm Dr. Wagner, Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine, which is a branch of medicine that uses natural substances to help people with their health. Our topic today is natural health for the cardiovascular system. So we all know what the cardiovascular system is. Cardio means your heart. The vascular system is your veins and your arteries, your capillaries, all the little tubes that the heart uses to transport and push the blood through to the rest of your body to bring nutrition, to bring oxygen, take away waste. So it's really essential to the health of the body. You need to get the oxygen up to your brain. So your whole body depends on your heart and your cardiovascular system and its efficiency at getting things to the rest of the body. So what does help the cardiovascular system? Things that help muscles. The heart is a muscle and it uses a lot of energy. Unlike the rest of your muscles in the body, most of it's being used every day, constantly. Every couple seconds there might be a little bit of rest in between, but your heart is functioning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It has to have a lot of energy, has to have enough supplies to repair itself. And with the cardiovascular system, even with the veins and the arteries, they have to be maintained smooth so that the blood will flow and there's not anything impeding it, or else you get some type of disease. And also, you want to pay attention to the tubes that your blood's going through as well, because if things that you put in your body and what you do can also affect the opening of the inside. So if it's narrow, if it's wide. Also, how long the pipes are. The bigger your body mass, every cell that's made new, be it a fat cell, muscle cell, connective tissue, it all has to have its own blood supply. So the bigger your body, the more feet and yards and tubing that the heart has to push this blood through. So one heart pushing through all this length of cardiovascular system, as it gets bigger, it can raise, be harder to push it through. If there's any impedance, it can raise the blood pressure. There's different markers for cardiovascular health. A lot of people are familiar with measuring your cholesterol. And cholesterol is not the only problem, or it doesn't tell the whole story. Same number of people get heart attacks with high cholesterol, have low cholesterol. What really tells more of a bigger story is different types of markers, like your C-reactive protein or your lipoprotein A, which shows what is happening to your cholesterol, like your LDLs, which is your low density lipoproteins. They tend to be the more problematic, especially if they get damaged. And there's certain things that you can do to help them be healthy and not be damaged, because when they get damaged, they induce inflammation in the body, which makes plaque stick to the inside of your arteries. You get hardening of the arteries. So there's a lot of things that you can do to help your health. So if you get your cholesterol tested, make sure you're getting more of a holistic panel to see really what your cardiovascular system is doing, and not just looking at what your straight cholesterol levels are. So what you want to do with the body is put in what the heart needs. Don't put in anything in the body that you know is going to damage your cardiovascular system, and help the body pump what it has, to help the heart pump the blood and circulate it, because, it's one heart, all these tubes throughout the whole body. You can also, with your movement, other things that you do, help the heart to have a little bit of an easier time getting this blood supply from the heart to the body and to the body back to the heart. One thing that we always discuss with cardiovascular disease is your diet. It's one thing that you do several times a day. Besides breathing and drinking water, it's one of the most easily influenced things that you do. Since you do it several times a day, it's going to have a profound effect on your nutrition and what's happening in your body. Now, one thing that's very pertinent in helping inflammation, because inflammation is going to damage any type of fats in your blood, and that's when they become dangerous. So anytime you can decrease inflammation, you're helping your body out. So one of the things that's very important is avoiding hydrogenated fats. Now, hydrogenated fats are a manufactured fat that just lets things have a little bit of a longer shelf life. So you can have, a baked good sit on the counter in a wrapper for weeks at a time and it doesn't mold. So it decreases, manufacturers' food costs, and they can sell a product on a prolonged period of time. But these trans fats are not shaped correctly and they're not used correctly in the body, and they can really cause damage to your circulating fats and cause inflammation. And so then you get your white blood cells try to swallow these things up, and that causes more inflammatory markers to be sent out, and that's when you start getting foam cells in the coatings of your arteries, which causes narrowing, and it causes all sorts of problems. So trans fatty acids are not needed by the body at all. They're easy to check on a label. They're also used in a lot of restaurant foods. So if you go to a restaurant, maybe ask them to see the ingredients. It's one of the things that if you just eat things that are homemade or things that are not listed on the label, it's much easier to avoid them than some other products. Also, high fructose corn syrup. Again, it's a manufactured product that they use because it's sweeter than sugar. So it enables them to add less sweetener than if they were to add sweetener. So it lowers the cost of processed food production. But fructose is different than other sugars in that when you ingest it, it goes directly to the liver. And the liver cannot store a lot of sugar, so it turns it into fat, and the liver cannot store a lot of fat either, so it changes it into your blood lipids, like your cholesterol and your triglycerides, and that really raises your blood fats, because that is how the liver will take that extra fat and distribute it to the rest of the body. So if you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of high fructose corn syrup, it's going to raise your triglycerides and your cholesterol, and not just from eating cholesterol. One thing that you can do, with food, there's all these wonderful, especially in the fall, wonderful bioflavonoids, a lot of colorful phytochemicals, your reds, your purples, your greens, the whites, all these sorts of colors in nature. Every plant has its own different balance of phytochemicals, antioxidants that really can help the body. And they really cut down on inflammation. Also, they've shown in research studies that all these phytochemicals can actually turn off your bad genetics and turn on your good genes. So even if you have a family history of, cardiovascular disease, you don't necessarily have to get it, because these plants can actually change your genetics to function in a healthier way. And all these antioxidants, they also help all the lining of your cardiovascular system to become healthier, so that it's less likely to get an injury, which leads to clots and leads to inflammation and leads to plaque. So whenever you're eating a lot of these good chemicals, these good compounds, it's going to make sure that the tubing that your blood has to push through is smooth, and that everything flows smoothly, and there's no increase of pressure there. Because once there's inflammation, once there's plaque buildup, it narrows the opening of your blood vessels, and the heart still has to push through all of this tubing. But if the opening keeps getting smaller and smaller, it really makes the heart have to work harder, increases the blood pressure, and it really can wear out the heart. You get an enlarged heart because it's trying to build up its muscles so it can push through this area. So the more that you're eating the natural foods and getting those bioflavonoids to protect everything, the healthier a person is going to be. Also, you need enough, healthy protein, because collagen is helping to hold together all those tubings, the cardiovascular system, the arteries and the veins. When the heart pushes, there's a lot of pressure there, and the arteries have to keep the blood in there without splitting open. So you need the collagen, which is made from the amino acids, to keep those in there and not split open and cause a bleed or a brain hemorrhage or a stroke, things like that. So you also need a good quality protein as well. And minerals. A lot of your fruits and vegetables also have good quality minerals, as long as the soils had them in there. Nowadays, some of the soils are depleted of good minerals because some of the essential minerals that you need in the trace minerals are not put back into the fertilizers because fertilizer is just meant to help the plant grow big and being able to harvest a lot so you can sell it. Whereas organic fertilizer is usually much better, but if the animals, have not eaten what's necessary because their soil is depleted, you may not get the trace minerals that are in there as well. So you're looking, for your bulk minerals, like everybody knows calcium, which is a lot of times it's put into things, they're fortified with calcium and sometimes with magnesium, but a lot of times magnesium is a lot more deficient than calcium, and magnesium is one of those minerals that really helps get the blood pressure down, open up the arteries so that the blood pressure can go down, and also being able to open up all those arteries so that the blood gets to the very fine capillaries, like in your extremities, opens up, there's more area with the same amount of volume of blood, so the blood pressure goes down, helps things relax, helps the heart being able to contract and relax normally. Potassium is also very important for the heart and the blood pressure. You can get that from bananas, you can get it from oranges, and that really helps to help maintain the blood pressure normally as well. But also you need trace minerals, things like zinc and boron and selenium. All those things are important to the health. And you're going to find a lot of those things. Nuts are a good source. But, again, depending on what your soil is like, you may not be getting the trace minerals. But any processed food, what you're really looking for is to avoid a lot of processed foods, because most of the time all the trace minerals are removed. A lot of times there's chemicals in there that are not good for the body. You're removing a lot of the nutrition and making your blood sugar fluctuate more so that you have a higher tendency to get diabetes, which is also very hard on the cardiovascular system as well. So eating less processed things, if you're going to have grains, try like a whole grain, like whole grain rice or another type of whole, grain that's the fiber is going to stop the sugars from being absorbed so readily, and it'll help stabilize the blood sugar again, so there's not that increase in insulin, which insulin is very damaging to the body as well when it's in high levels, as well as blood sugar. So again, look for things that are less processed, things you could go out and get in nature versus something that had to be, dried, pulverized, colorized, had preservatives and colorings added to it. So again, your LDLs are especially damaged by things like the trans fatty acids and the sugars. Those are the most offensive. Certain kinds of saturated fats can be harmful as well. Other things that you can do that are protective is green tea. Now, green tea is, very readily available. You can eat it, hot or cold, drink it. You can have some sweetener in there. The best kind of sweetener would probably be to use some stevia. Stevia is an herb that's very sweet, but it does not cause your insulin or your blood sugar levels to increase. The green tea has a lot of antioxidants, so it's very protective to the cardiovascular system. You can drink it between meals, so when you're not getting the antioxidants from your food, you can also get it from the green tea. Also, monounsaturated fatty acids, like you would get from olive oil or from walnuts, very protective to the, for the inflammation in the body. Your, omega-3 fats, like your fish oils, again, from your raw nuts, it really calms down the inflammation in the body, makes your fat go in a pathway that decreases inflammation, whereas the trans fats increase inflammation and deplete some of your vitamins and minerals. Also, grapeseed extract. If you actually get grapes that have the seeds in them, they're very helpful for the cardiovascular system as well. These are Concord grapes, and I think a lot of times they have the seeds in them. But if you don't mind the crunchiness when you're eating them, the grape seeds actually have a lot of nutrition that's very beneficial for the whole cardiovascular system. If you don't like, the seeds, the grittiness, sometimes you can get juice, like grape juice, that's enhanced with extracts from the seeds. You can also get grape seed extract as well, which is very beneficial. Concord grapes, a lot of times, they're grown here in Michigan this time of year, and they taste wonderful. They have a wonderful smell too. If you're a man, you also want to double check that you're not getting too much iron. Iron will build up in your liver, and it's very easy to test for. If you have too much iron, it's very oxidative and very damaging to the rest of your body. So it's an easy blood test. You just have a blood test, get your iron checked and your ferritin, which is your stored iron. It's very easily corrected if you have too much, but definitely that is detrimental to your liver as well as your whole cardiovascular system. And it's easy to check. So if you have that, then you want to stay away from a lot of the red meats that have a lot of iron in them as well. But there's also some easy ways to get rid of the excess iron. Also, vitamin, K. It's vitamin K2 is what you're specifically looking for. I don't have a lot of vitamin K itself is found in a lot of green, like leafy vegetables. It helps with your blood clotting. But what we're specifically looking for a lot of times, besides bleeding for the cardiovascular system, is vitamin K2, which is a fat-soluble vitamin. It's found in a lot of organ meats, and it's also made by good bacteria. So, if you've taken a lot of antibiotics and you think that your good bacteria in your whole digestive system has been altered or it's been killed off and maybe some not-so-friendly bacteria are growing there, then they're not going to produce the vitamin K2 that you need. And vitamin K2 helps so that calcium is not deposited where it should not be. So like in the arteries, in like your, bony spurs, it helps to make the calcium go into the bones and not stick on the inside where it's going to do a lot of damage. You can also take a supplement of vitamin K2, since a lot of people nowadays don't eat organ meats. But you can also do the organ meats, or you can make like stews or gravies out of them as well to get the natural vitamin K2. Also, nattokinase is a fermented product that has a lot of the vitamin K2 in it. A lot of people don't have a taste for it here. It's over in Asia, it's more popular. You can buy capsules of it if you don't like the taste of it. Also, in general, again, you want to keep the insulin low, so the less processed foods. Insulin will cause damage in the body even if the blood sugar levels are normal. So if somebody has diabetes and they're injecting themselves with insulin, even if the blood sugar level is normal, you're not getting away from the damage that the diabetes is causing, because the insulin will cause damage to the cardiovascular system just on its own. So if you do have diabetes, you really want to try to get your diet under control. Helps so you need as little insulin as possible, and to keep your blood sugar levels low. And with your diet, again, less sugar, less soft drinks, less artificial sweeteners, because artificial sweeteners themselves still increase insulin levels because it's that super sweet taste, and the body sends out the insulin because it's anticipating a lot of sugar. A lot of times they've shown that the diet products contribute to weight gain because they're still releasing the insulin, which you're not getting the sugar. So the blood sugar drops because the insulin is making it drop, and then you get hungry again. So it's kind of like it's not really like a winning battle to try to use the artificial sweeteners, which also have a lot of side effects. And you also want to make sure you're getting plenty of B vitamins. So again, like the whole grains, maybe like the brown rice, or some other whole grains that have a lot of B vitamins in them, because that will help stabilize the blood sugar levels as well. Make sure that the blood sugar levels do not spike as much and they don't drop as quickly. Also, vanadium. There's a mineral called vanadium which really bypasses insulin in that it helps to shuffle in excess sugar into the cells without even insulin being there. So a lot of times it will really help control blood sugar, will control insulin levels just by getting the excess sugar out of there. It's not needed in large amounts. You can take it as a supplement just to try to stabilize your blood sugar levels. Also, resveratrol is a very good substance for heart problems. You can get it in, red wine. That's the classical things, like a glass of red wine after dinner once a day, is shown to help, cardiovascular system as well as sometimes obesity. It really helps inflammation. And what resveratrol does is it stops, when the LDL is damaged, the resveratrol will stop the white blood cells from ingesting it and sending out those inflammatory compounds. So instead of, you're having some damaged LDL, which is bad enough, but when it's ingested and making those foam cells which are stuck into your arteries, then you're having a whole cascade of inflammatory products. So what resveratrol does is kind of stop it at that first initial step so that you don't get that compounding inflammation, going on. You can find it in the red wine, you can find it in the red or the purple grapes, not so much in the the white grape. What you're looking for is that deep dark color. Also blueberries. Blueberries also have it as well as peanuts. Peanuts actually are one non-berry food that actually has some resveratrol in it. And so if you're not a big fruit person, but you still want to get some heart protective benefits. Also, peanuts have a lot of monounsaturated fats too, which is one of those heart protective oils, so they can be helpful as well. Now, one of the things you can do also for the cardiovascular system, obviously, is to help your own circulation. The heart is one little pump. It has all these long tubes it has to push the blood through. Well, exercise can really help the heart, increase oxygenation to the tissues, take nutrition to the body, get waste away from the body. And like your veins do not have anything really to pump them. They are relying mostly on your muscles to move them. They don't have valves, so like your arteries have valves blocking them, but with your veins, or they don't have, the muscles around them, except they don't have anything pumping them except for your movement usually. So if you have, varicose veins, poor circulation in the extremities, exercise can be a real boon. What you want to avoid is a really extreme exercise. If you have short bursts of intense exercise, that's healthy, gets the lungs to open up, gets oxygenation, or you can do mild exercise for a longer period of time. But if you do extreme exercise over a long period of time, that is generating a lot of oxidants in the body, and you're causing a lot of damaging chemicals to float around the body. That's why a lot of these marathon runners, you see they're not very old and they're suffering heart attacks while they're running. It's because, day after day, they're running, they're exercising in an extreme amount, and they're causing all these free radicals to float around their body. And there's, if you're not really compensating and really trying to shove in all those antioxidants to soak those bad chemicals up, you get a lot of damage. So if you do exercise a lot, you really have to compensate, probably not only with your nutrition, but a lot of supplements to help, your body compensate for those free radicals that you're generating. But otherwise, exercise helps the circulation, decreases stress, it helps decrease your blood pressure as well. In relaxation, you want to, exercise again, or massage or prayer meditation, turning off a lot of the stimulus in the body so that your body can relax. There's some really good herbs for the cardiovascular system, like hawthorn berry is very nutritional to the heart and the cardiovascular system. Again, like garlic is very helpful, helps to control cholesterol levels, as well as have some quercetin, which is anti-inflammatory. A lot of people like the taste of it. There's Chinese sage root, which also helps the hypertension. Red pepper. Turmeric is another spice that is used a lot in Indian cooking. Very anti-inflammatory, very good for the cardiovascular system. Supplements. You can get some things in the body like the resveratrol, but you can also get supplements if you're not going to eat a lot of grapes or drink the wine. Also, L-arginine is another substance that helps dilate the peripheral vasculature, so you get better circulation, you get a lowered blood pressure. Also, CoQ10. If anybody is on any type of cholesterol-lowering med, just by the way it works, it's going to lower your CoQ10. Your CoQ10 is what your heart uses to make energy. So if you're on a cholesterol-lowering meds for your heart problem and it's lowering what your heart needs, it's kind of like it's kind of kicking in, it's causing damage while it's, trying to help to begin with. So you really want to pay attention to the CoQ10. Also, alpha lipoic acid, which is very anti-inflammatory, helps to soak up all those damaging things. Also, L-carnitine, which is found in meat. So if you can have, meat in moderation, it's healthy. It helps to really burn triglycerides in your food. again, magnesium, the vitamin K2, also the L-lysine and the L-proline. Is also vitamin C, helps to really make more collagen so that if you can protect the body, the inside of your blood vessels, so that they're not being damaged. The resveratrol and the N-acetylcysteine, again, those are two things that you can take as a supplement as well. Taurine can also help if you have an irregular heartbeat. It's also very beneficial. People sometimes have that where their hearts, they get palpitations. Also homeopathic remedies, there's certain ones that are known to help different types of cardiovascular system. And also, if you give somebody a remedy for just their general health, a lot of times their blood pressure will go down, or other problems with their cardiovascular system will be minimized just because their whole body is functioning as well. With a homeopathic remedy, you're kind of looking at the body's whole symptoms and how each person is reacting. So it's not, if you have heart disease, you're going to get this remedy to help the body. It's more depending on how your body chemistry is working, looking to normalize that. So again, there's a lot of things that you can do to help your cardiovascular system. This was Natural Health for All Ages, and I was Dr. Wagner. Please tune in for more episodes in the future. Thank you.